Welcome to the Soul Archaeology podcast, a space for connection, resonance, witnessing, and learning. Together we'll harvest medicine from the spiral of life, sharing conversations with other embodied humans who have navigated their own initiations and found alignment with their true soul essence. With weekly astrology, energy updates, embodied conversation, and channeled teachings, this is a space for you to land and find resonance with the spiral of your own soul. Hello, welcome back to Soul Archaeology. I'm so happy to be here. I'm having some tea, listening to the creek that runs behind our cabin, and just pondering the intensity of this week and the incredible shifts that have occurred over the last week with all of this Aquarian energy we have access to. It really felt like on January 20th, when we had Pluto enter Aquarius, it felt like a gateway was opened to sort of the veil was dropped on the next chapter and what it could look like, what it will look like for us. And how exciting is that, to be able to peek through the veil and into the energy and the potential of the next chapter. I've been talking to so many who have, just experienced incredible downloads and insights into what they're creating, what they're moving through, activating their power in new ways. And that's really what I want to discuss today is our power. It's been so fun to witness the shifts within my sessions over the last few weeks as we've, started to, as the power of Pluto has started to percolate down and into our lives, the new energetic imprint that it holds as it's moved into Aquarius, and the nuance and the interesting dance and pathway it will be taking this year as it dips back into Capricorn and back into Aquarius for a 20-year chapter. It's just creating such an interesting landscape, just incredible conditions for this deepening to occur, for us to really understand where we are placing our attention, our power, and is it serving the highest timeline? Is it serving where we want to be headed? What we're trying to call in or manifest within our lives. And that's why we have this nonlinear experience in this lifetime, is it's not about the end goal. It's not about achieving something or accessing enlightenment and perfecting our lives to live in the most high expression all the time. It's about being present, and it's about really taking the time and revisiting as much as we need to the things that are keeping us out of alignment. It's about experiencing life and tasting life. And I've been pondering this a lot, just our desire to achieve perfection and all of the biohacking tools, the obsession with food and water, and all of it's so important to have awareness around. But when we live in this space of trying to perfect it, it can become an obsession, and it can pull us out of the present moment and into our minds. And of course, being in Aquarius season, there's so much mind activity occurring. With Pluto moving into Aquarius at the end of January, we had this new timeline open up. And I've been noticing in my sessions that, things that we've been navigating are really starting to download in, clicking in, things that people have been waiting to implement or to fully grasp, understand, click in are happening, which is so exciting because I know there's been a lot of this push and pull, this feeling of stagnation, this feeling of perhaps being stuck. And when we allow ourselves a space to be present with that stuckness, the spaces that feel sticky or resist change or fear the unknown, that's where we get to cross the thresholds in full embodiment. And that's really what That's the important piece here, right? Is to cross these thresholds, is to embrace change in our wholeness, in our fullness. And so we need the back and forth. We need Pluto to dip back into Capricorn this fall because there's medicine there, and Pluto represents power. So this week is all about our power. And our power is interesting, right? Because I think the old paradigm way of viewing power is sort of oppression or dominating another or holding power over something or someone else. Our power having to either be sacrificed by another power, or that we can't be in our power unless someone is out of their power. And this is just an old program. And I think we see it play out a lot in the world. And it really requires us to, on an individual level, look at where we're afraid of our own power and what wound is existing that is pulling our power through it. So if we look at empowerment, we can either seek empowerment through the wound, which is through fear. It's through desire for control. It's through pain. It's through the wound. Or we can pull our power through the expression of the higher heart, our higher self. And that will really be the focus this week and really through mid-March as Mars transits Aquarius. It's passing through the gateways of Pluto this week. On Tuesday night specifically, we have Mars conjunct Pluto. And then at the end of the week, on Friday, we have Venus conjunct Pluto. And really, Mars is already conjunct Pluto because it's at 29 degrees Capricorn and Pluto's at 0 degrees Capricorn. But it's not really embodying the full conjunction until Tuesday evening. And then as Venus, it's at 25 degrees Capricorn on Monday and moves into Aquarius in conjunct Pluto. And I know I mentioned last week that this is the new 20-year chapter. Any planet that transits through Aquarius over the next 20 years will be passing through the gates, the underworld of Pluto. And what that means is it pulls it through the unconscious. It pulls it through our psyche, through our subconscious, and asks for us to look at our relationship with power, with our shadow, with the traumas that are held within our physical form, with our wounding. It can be an activation of our power, which is great. And our job really is to look at if that power that's being activated is coming through the wound or coming through our heart. And with it being an Aquarius, it's interesting because we have this layer of the mind that is really important because Aquarius rules the mind, and so much of the work that it does is through the mind, is through intellect, is through problem solving. And we really need that, right? We kind of need a strong, clear mind in order to navigate the twists and turns of our collective healing process to build a new world. And so it's interesting because when we have these gateways through the heart, we can sometimes think that we can only live through the heart, but the mind is helpful. We just don't want the mind to be the first resource. We want the heart to be the first resource. And then we want to teach the mind that it doesn't need to run the show, but that it has a very important purpose and that we can utilize it as a tool and as a resource to create new patterns, to rewire, to imagine and dream. And that's really the focus this week. And really through mid-March, we're entering Pisces season on Sunday. So it's interesting because we'll be in Pisces season, but we have so much of our planetary activity happening in Aquarius until early, like March 11th to mid-March. And so we'll be navigating these Aquarian themes for a while. And so it's really important to give yourself space, especially this week as we have a stellium on Friday in Aquarius, all of these planets passing through Pluto. It's important to notice where the activation is coming from. And if it's coming from the wound, to spend however much time you need in that space, loving, nurturing, and caring for the part of you that feels afraid of your power, afraid of change, afraid of loss of control, so that we can fully embody our warrior of light imprint, our framework. And I've done a whole episode on that, and you can access that back in episode 10. And I talk all about the North and South Node in Aries and Libra. I do a deep dive on the North and South Node, which is really important, especially because this week we have a conjunction between Chiron, the wounded healer, the gateway and portal into our deep core wounds and our pain points, conjunct the North Node in Aries. On the 13th, we also have a conjunction between the moon in Aries, the North Node, and Chiron. And this is really important because it's bringing us into our pain points, the spaces within us that keep us out of our power, out of our identity and sense of self. With the North Node being in Aries, Chiron being in Aries, so much of it is around identity. It's also around our power, how we mobilize, and what's keeping us from activating our desires and our will. So with the Aries energy, the Plutonic energy, with the Aquarian energy, so much of our mind games and our limiting beliefs, our mental programs are going to be brought to the surface, along with our wounds. So we'll be looking at this, we'll have sort of a glimpse into the framework of our subconscious, into the framework of our physical bodies and our nervous systems, and how we operate outside of our power or in the wounding of our power. This week will be helping us shape our identities within the next chapter, where we're needed, where we want to place our energy. And this will really aspect all areas of our lives, because we have the Sun and Mercury in Aquarius a little bit further down the line, but we also have Venus, relationships, love, money, resources in Aquarius, conjunct Pluto on Friday. We have Mars conjunct Pluto, so our desires, our passions, our drive will be excavated and looked at, and the spaces within us that avoid our true pure power, our heart power, and drop into our shadow power, our wounding. And the interesting thing about Aries is that it's ruled by Mars. And so this is a big Mars week. There's such a heavy focus on Mars. And like I said, Mars represents our drive, our desires, our passions. And when it's left unchecked, when it's running rampant through the wounding, it can lead to anger, volatility. It can lead to overindulgence or reactivity. It can also, on the other side of the spectrum, be paralyzed. It can be collapsed. It can reveal to us where we're not stepping into our power, where we're afraid to take action. And so what you want to do is look at where Aries lands in your chart, where Aquarius lands in your chart, and then where Mars, your natal Mars, lands in your chart. And all of this will be incredible data and information for this week. I always feel like, during energetically charged weeks, it's nice to have some space. It's nice to create space for yourself to feel, to experience what you need to in order to access what's trying to be revealed, what's trying to come to the surface. And also so we don't bite people's heads off. And so we can respond from the higher heart and not from the wound. And also to give compassion and grace when we do, because those rupture points, when we're having an interaction with another, when we are responding from the wound, when we feel like we're swimming in the wound, I'm not saying we always need to separate ourselves from the experience or from the connection or from the environment, but to really have awareness that that's what's occurring. And sometimes expressing that to the other person can be the healing. Sometimes the fact we can be both present with our wounding and present with our heart at the same time. So say, for example, you're in a partnership and you can literally witness yourself in a wound. You're having an interaction this week and it comes up where you just feel hurt by something and you feel your inner child sort of taking the wheel, but you know that, right? There's a part of you, there's a mental part of you that has awareness around what's occurring. And you can be both present with that inner child and present with your higher self at the same time. And if it feels like a safe enough connection, being able to express that can be so deeply healing. Expressing that, hey, I'm in a wound right now. My inner child is activated. I might need this, or whatever it is exactly your inner child is asking for. Maybe it is space. Maybe it is just touch, presence, connection outside of conversation, having to talk things through. Maybe you just need to put your shoulders next to one another and to feel them touch and to have that co-regulation if he's or she is resourced and safe. And I don't want to set the tone that this week is all about wounding and, reactivity and anger. It can also be an activation of your power. So it's really how we respond to it. We can feel more resourced, more empowered, and at the same time have wounds surfacing. It's all about our ability to respond with compassion, grace, and presence. For example, I have over the last few weeks felt very activated. I have Aquarius entering my 4th house. I'm just feeling this desire to create a lot of change. I'm feeling a lot of my mental programs come to the surface. And I'm also at the same time feeling incredibly empowered. I'm feeling optimistic. I'm feeling organized, empowered, driven. So it's not black or white. And it really depends on where Aquarius, where Aries, and where your natal Mars land within your chart. Those are the areas of your life that you'll feel this activated the most. And it's also where you can start to really work with the energy to create healing and to use it as a sort of jumping off point to really understand and create intimacy with your power and where it's resourced from and where you pull it from. And step into the higher channel of it. Utilize this activation. Utilize Pluto as an agent for change. Later this week, I will be releasing another episode that I recorded with another astrologer, a traditional astrologer, which is really fun. So you can look out for that. We'll be talking all about Saturn, which is interesting because it's such a Mars-focused week. But there's so much that we can sort of utilize with Saturn because it's the ruler of both Capricorn and Aquarius in traditional astrology. So utilizing Saturn's power in order to create healing and change. But this week is so big as far as this Mars energy, as far as the Aquarian and Aries energy. And I just think it's such a huge opportunity that we have to notice where we're placing our power, what we're putting energy into. I talked a lot about that in the last episode. And it's so fun because I pulled the Mountain card today from the Untamed Elemental Deck. And Mountain is all about alignment. A vertical masterpiece of the natural world, Mountain obtains cosmic access and conducts the steadfast life force rooted in the center of the earth. He entices us with his ridges and vistas and demands coherence between conviction and action. He is proud of his statuesque prominence, embodying incorruptible dignity. Wisdom cultures have long been attracted to the wild embrace of Mountain's range of summits and extreme climates in the exploration of spiritual elevation and states of absolute consciousness. Mountain urges you to focus on your alignment, particularly as it relates to your spine. Just as Mountain establishes a coherence of flow between planetary and cosmic energy, your spine both avails you to Earth frequencies and ensures you have access to heightened wisdom. Maintaining healthy alignment in your vertebrae will help keep your body vital, your intuition activated, and your dignity intact. Our souls are honed by our physical systems, and your spine is an instrument through which you can manifest greatness. When it's balanced, you have immaculate alignment between conviction and action. When it's imbalanced, you feel directionless, lacking clarity of purpose, and chronic back pain. To bring into balance, activate your essential self by embodying Mountain's unwavering dignity and stillness. So I love this because it feels like a little bit of an invitation and perhaps some medicine for this very Mars-dominated week. Stillness, patience, alignment, meditation, embodiment practices, somatic practices. All of these are medicine to work with this push and pull of your power. And I'm excited to see what medicine comes from this week. I've been loving and receiving the most beautiful messages, sharing how these episodes land for you. They're channeled, so much of it is meant to land in a certain way and to deliver medicine in a certain way. So however it lands for you is how it's meant to. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you for being here, for being present, for listening and taking the time to let it download and percolate. Sharing on social media is so helpful. Sending the podcast to friends, family that you feel like it would resonate with. Writing a review and rating the podcast is so helpful. So thank you so much. I have some exciting guests that I've been interviewing, so there will be more guest episodes coming up as well. And I'll still try to do these shorter energy updates as well each week. So I might have weeks where 2 episodes release. I'm just now opening a few spaces for private mentorship beginning in March. It's a really beautiful, intimate 3 to 6 month container where we do very deep, intimate rewiring work together. It's called the integration of self. And that's my process. And that's the process that I work through with each person. And it's a blend of shamanic, intuitive, and quantum healing practices, somatic attachment integration, parts work, and embodiment practices. So it's really a very unique formula that I work through with each person. Each person is unique, and what we work on together is unique. So every container looks differently. And sometimes I'm working on building businesses. Sometimes we're working on relationships. Sometimes we're working on a total reinvention of self. But all of it starts with the integration of self and the connection and alignment we feel to self, to all of our many beautiful parts. So this is a really powerful container, this 3 to 6 month container. If you would like more information, you can book a clarity call. You can go to my website and learn all about it. And then if you feel interested, if you feel like it's in alignment, booking a clarity call, I'd love to connect and chat. I hope you all have such a beautiful week. Look out for the next episode later this week. I believe I'll release it on Saturday. So I hope you feel empowered to work with Pluto, to work with Mars this week. And I hope that you have some major breakthroughs, and it feels like most of you will. Have a wonderful week.